Pleasant chat.
Should we start now?
Let's start, dude.
Okay. So we're talking today, Mike and I, about this Michaela school in London and how this Muslim student has lost her prayer ban challenge. And we're going to just give a quick reaction to that, looking at the news stories.
Quick reaction.
Quick reaction.
It's a strict school, outstanding, isn't it? And
Yeah.
parents send their kids there knowing it's not a faith school.
Right.
So at what point do you say, well, but I want to have these privileges for my child or for my faith?
Yeah.
You know, are there Muslim schools? I guess there are Muslim schools specific, just like you get specific Christian schools or Jewish schools.
So your take on it is that it isn't unreasonable to kind of say, no, you can't do that here.
No, I think you know what? It's probably safer for everyone if you don't mix religion with schools, because then everyone can say, well, it's equal across the board. There's no special treatment for anyone.
Yeah.
It's maybe religion is a family choice and a personal choice, and that actually, you know, like I was reading the article that said a lot of Muslims go home when they're unable to pray at a specific time. They can go home and do like a catch-up prayer, which is fair. It seems fair enough, you know. Perhaps they've got a job that would endanger them if they just meet down tools.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of mixed feelings, I suppose, about this issue. I've read that it says the case has led to a renewed discussion about, you know, the broader role of faith within the education system, like you're saying. Should it be totally separate, like in France and places where they're very, very secular, all the schools? But this is a free school, so this is it's independent of the local authority, Brent Council. And it's interesting when I was reading about how the National Secular Society, Humanist UK and others, you know, they're kind of pleased with this because they've been campaigning for reform, saying faith shouldn't have any place in the school. Kind of what you're saying there, Mike, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it would simplify things, I suppose, to have schools as just places that are not religious in any way. They're completely secular, irrespective of whether they're free school or council run, local authority run. It's one of them, isn't it? What if a group of Muslims wants to set up a school? Would you be in favour of that, as happens?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Totally. I mean, they should be allowed to. It's a free country, just as we have other faith schools that are partly funded by their own church or organisation that they're part of. Then that makes sense, you know. And then they could build a timetable and a curriculum to include time for their faith. I think that would be the way forward. If you wanted to have your child go to a school that practiced a religion or religious aspect, then you could choose that. But if you choose to send your child to a specific school that is secular, then you just gotta, if you want to keep going there, to abide by the rules.
Coming back to the thing then, so it's a free school. It's interesting, this lady, there are a lot of images of her with Gove when she set it up about 10 years ago. This lady, Catherine Birbal Singh, the head teacher, she said it was a victory for all schools, so not just independent academy, free schools. She said it was a victory for all schools. So you're kind of saying, yes, it is. It's a victory for common sense, is your opinion I'm taking from you?
No, because I'm not taking a side against Islam. I'm saying Islam, just like Christianity and Judaism or Hinduism, that if you send your child, you might have that religion at home and it's your family tradition. That's great. That's your free choice to do that, yeah. But I think if you choose to send your child to a secular school, that's what it is, you know. And if you do have the option to send your child to a faith school, your faith, then that's good as well. But I think expecting the school to change from secular, because it's a very grey area, isn't it?
It is. It's interesting that half the pupils at this Michaela school in Brent Council are Muslim. I thought, well, that's interesting. Half have chosen to go there, knowing, as you say, it's not a Muslim school. They've still chosen to go there because it's strict. It's got good results.
Area, you know.
Yeah, it's the area. Yeah, maybe they don't have the choice. Always have the choice to.
Area, you know.
Maybe the council schools aren't as good, perhaps, because this is maybe strict and they can choose who they allow in. So they don't allow any kids who've got behaviour issues in. So behaviour is kind of in people's thoughts. Oh, this is a school for well-behaved kids. My kids are going to be able to focus academically. But then there's no allowance for that religious difference within that setting, because they say, well, we don't want to be taken over by one religious group or another. There's arguments for both sides. It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. It is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I've often, thought it'd be nice if all schools were secular, insofar as, like not any faith is foisted on. But then, as you say, maybe there should be separate schools just for those faiths. But then faith becomes such a big issue then. If the main precursor for going there is that you have to be of this faith, does that lead to a more divided society? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Because if you belonged to a faith, you went to a school that was just isolated, you could easily again become isolated from broader British society as a whole. Because that's all you just assume everyone was the same religion or whatever. It's the same experience as you,
like an echo chamber effect. Sorry, man. Yeah, right. You're limited then socially, aren't you, to people who are just like you. It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, the argument is, if we're going to allow for faith schools full stop of any sort, fine. But we're going to have secular schools, or maybe they need to be completely secular. Is that what we're kind of coming down on in our thoughts?
Yeah. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? It's such a grey area, and obviously with bomb threats and death threats being thrown into the mix, it makes you think, well, okay, some people are getting very upset about this. Is it a suitable response? Is it a reasonable response?
Has someone made a bomb threat? It was
mentioned in that BBC article.
Yeah.
So they've had bomb threats and death threats made.
Towards the school staff?
Towards the school, I think, in general. I'm not entirely sure. The BBC didn't say specifically.
Who would do that?
We might have to record it later, because we've got a lot of voices in the background.
I know. It's real life, man. You've got real life. You've got a real life scenario going on around you.
Just mention it.
Oh.
And stop talking.
I know, it's tough, isn't it?
Okay, we've got to. I've pretty much just to, even if this is just a practice for us to review our style and our patter, and also the concept of talking about certain sensitive subjects that actually,
tricky.
We don't want people sending us threats.
We don't.
Talking about this,
We don't want any bomb threats. We're just normal.
I pretty much
two normal guys.
A couple of things. First thing I wrote down was, whoa, death and bomb threats. Like, that's serious,
Right.
Like, at what point does that become
that's criminal.
acceptable?
That's criminal. It's never acceptable.
It's criminal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's never.
No matter where you are, it's not acceptable. Yeah, and it's totally disproportionate as well.
It does seem unreasonable.
In what world is that okay?
Well, no.
One rule for all. I wrote down here. If you have one rule for all, then it's fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like if you set rules like laws, like if you murder someone, you go to jail. There should be no special treatment for any particular group of people. I don't know where I'm going with this. Maybe edit this one out.
I think what we're saying is violence has no place, threats have no place. That's a given.
Exactly.
In modern society,
So
free thinking. Discussion is good. Are we saying discussion is good?
About having state schools that are totally secular, no religion, or doesn't make what going there an atheistic experience. Doesn't mean that because the schools are secular that they are somehow against people having a religion. That's not the point. It's just saying, look, if we don't have it here, because you come here to learn maths and English and science, and how to, also how to become civilized and productive members of society. That would be, to me, that would be a sensible thing to expect from schools.
That's right. It's about tolerance, isn't it, and allowance.
So if it's acceptable for a group of people to practice a faith at home, then I mean, at the same time, though, I think the girl was just asking for 5 minutes at lunchtime.
Yeah.
It's like it's not really stopping learning or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I read.
So
Did you read that it said? Did you read?
I mean,
Did you read that it said they couldn't get together in groups of more than 4 because they started kneeling down in the playground at dinner time.
Right.
There was a group of like 20 of them or something, and they put their
potentially
blazers.
Other Muslims who weren't praying were like, "Hey, you're Muslim. You should be kneeling and praying."
I didn't read that. I don't know about that. I think
that was the thing.
Other non-Muslims were supportive, and they were kind of saying, "Oh, good on you. Fine, we support you because you believe that." And it was like the idea that they're not allowed to gather, so it was breaking a number of rules. It was gathering. You couldn't have gatherings of more than 4.
Oh, because that was a standard rule, like no clumping together in crowds.
Yeah. Disperse. Otherwise, the tear gas is coming out.
That's very strict, isn't it?
That is strict.
It's like draconian sort of
How many's in that?
rules.
How many's in that group there? There's too many of you. Spread out.
Spread out. Disperse. Tear gas kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fired in.
When I read that, I thought, wow, I've never worked in a school that strict.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Man.
Well, it's a first little discussion point on a new news story, and we're going to put it out there. I'm sure other people have things to say. They could comment, subscribe, depending on if they like our waffleage. Bit of waffleage. We're just a couple of normal English chaps who are fairly educated, fairly informed, and we're just chatting about a news story that's going on. Excuse the background noises today because we're just a little trial run. This is a little test run, isn't it? It's not going to be that polished, first off. But anyway, if you enjoyed the chat, great. Please comment below, subscribe, and whatever. And we look forward to hearing from you. And we'll try and regularly comment on a little news story as they come up, and see what conclusions we come to. Any final thoughts, Mike?
Any final thoughts? We're lucky living in the UK, such a free country.
Yeah.
Such people can express themselves so freely. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of parts of the world you can't do that.
Mm.
So the very fact that we can have this discussion
is
something that we're thankful for.
That's true.
It is potentially won't be the last we'll hear about this sort of arguments for and against. I think as long as we remain reasonable, and keep a dialogue going, keep a dialogue going, then will eventually, I'm sure, a reasonable conclusion could be met.
That's a good conclusion point. I like it. Good to speak to you, man. Have a nice evening.
Have a good evening.
See you soon.
Good luck editing this.
Well, we'll see. Speak to you in a bit, Mike.
See you later. Let me have a look at the video before you post it.
You'll sound like a right racist.
I'll be getting death threats.
There's no visuals.
Oh, isn't there?
No. We're just going to have our voices, man. So.
Oh, you didn't say.
Yeah, you're going to have to look. That's why I look like this. Look a mess. I wasn't thinking. I mean, we could have recorded them, but I just couldn't be bothered. So I just thought to start with, we'll just do the audio. That's all I'm recording. Not anything else.
You didn't say it all, man.
Sorry, man. Yeah, so
Few. Yeah. I wouldn't have bothered doing my hair.
Yes. Fair enough. All right, man. Better go because tea's on.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another go at that later on.
Yeah. If we get a chance.
Just talking about it as a preamble, literally a preamble. Just sort of find out actually where do we stand on this.
I think we know. I think we're pretty clear.
Yeah.
Freedom. Within reason, not to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Feelings.
What is a reasonable thing? What is a reasonable response?
Well, that's a whole philosophical.
And what is reasonable to accommodate people's religious beliefs? Because we were always brought up to be quite
tolerant,
accommodating,
yeah,
and respectful of other people, and
yeah.
you know.
That's